They wrote code in silence, while the world told them they didn't belong. Some hid their identity behind computer screens, while others fought through discrimination, fear, and loneliness just to survive in the tech industry. Yet, despite it all, these LGBTQ+ women helped shape the digital world we use every single day. From groundbreaking software to revolutionary games and powerful tech movements, they proved that courage can change history, one line of code at a time. Few programmers in the modern world possess a reputation as legendary as Audrey Tang. A self-taught coding prodigy from Taiwan, Tang began programming at a remarkably young age and quickly became involved in open-source software communities. Her mind moved through code like lightning across a digital skyline. Tang contributed to collaborative software projects and became deeply involved in civic technology, using programming to improve communication between governments and citizens. Eventually, she became Taiwan's digital minister, making history as one of the first openly transgender government officials in the world. Unlike traditional politicians wrapped in stiff suits and rehearsed speeches, Tang approached government like an open-source project. She advocated transparency, digital democracy, and public collaboration. During crises, her technological strategies helped Taiwan respond rapidly using data systems and online tools. Within LGBTQ+ communities across Asia, Audrey Tang became more than a programmer. She became a futuristic symbol of what leadership could look like in the internet era. Brilliant, unconventional, collaborative, and unapologetically authentic. The gaming industry can feel like a battlefield made of pixels, deadlines, and endless online criticism. Brianna Wu stepped directly into that storm and refused to back down. As a software engineer and video game developer, Wu founded her own independent game studio and worked on interactive entertainment projects during a time when women in gaming faced intense harassment online. Openly transgender and active within LGBTQ+ advocacy circles, she became one of the most visible voices pushing for safer and more inclusive gaming communities. Wu's background in programming gave her first-hand insight into the culture of the tech industry. She often spoke about how software development environments could become hostile toward women and queer developers. Instead of leaving the field, she fought to change it. Her story blends technology with activism in a way that feels almost cinematic. One moment she was debugging game code deep into the night, the next she was speaking publicly about online harassment, representation, and equality in tech culture. Through it all, Wu remained deeply connected to programming and game design, proving that queer developers were not outsiders in gaming history. They helped build it. Long before Silicon Valley became a glittering empire of billion-dollar startups and glowing laptop screens, Lynn Conway was quietly rewriting the future of computing. Born in the United States during an era when women were rarely welcomed into advanced engineering roles, Conway possessed an extraordinary talent for mathematics and computer architecture. She eventually worked at IBM, where her groundbreaking ideas helped shape modern processor design. But her story carried a painful twist. After beginning her gender transition in the 1960s, Conway lost her position at IBM during a time when LGBTQ+ people faced brutal discrimination in corporate America. Many careers would have collapsed under that pressure. Hers became a rocket launch. She later joined Xerox PARC, one of the most legendary research centers in tech history. There, Conway helped pioneer VLSI chip design, work that transformed how microchips were created and ultimately influenced nearly every modern computer. Smartphones, gaming consoles, and laptops all carry echoes of her innovations. Beyond engineering, Conway became a powerful advocate for transgender visibility in STEM fields. Her life reads like a cyberpunk novel written in neon and resilience. A brilliant programmer erased by prejudice, only to return and help build the digital age itself. Megan Smith carved her path through the tech industry like a comet streaking across a midnight server farm. A former executive at Google, Smith worked on projects involving innovation, search technology, and global digital infrastructure before becoming the Chief Technology Officer of the United States under President Obama. Her role placed her at the intersection of programming, science, government, and social progress. While many coders spend their lives building apps or software products, Smith focused on something larger, using technology to solve national and global problems. From improving digital access to supporting STEM education for women and LGBTQ+ youth, she became a symbol of inclusion in a field often criticized for its lack of diversity. Openly queer and deeply respected within Silicon Valley, Smith encouraged young women to pursue coding not merely as a career, but as a form of creative power. In interviews, she often described programming as a tool capable of reshaping society itself. Her influence helped normalize LGBTQ+ representation in high-level technology leadership, proving that queer women belonged not only in coding spaces, but at the very top of them. Leanne Pittsford saw a problem hidden beneath the polished glass towers of the tech industry. Thousands of LGBTQ+ women worked in software engineering, cybersecurity, design, and AI development, yet many felt invisible. Instead of waiting for Silicon Valley to change on its own, she built a movement. Pittsford founded Lesbians Who Tech and Allies, which grew into one of the world's largest LGBTQ+ technology communities. What began as a small gathering evolved into massive conferences filled with coders, startup founders, software engineers, and tech executives from companies like Microsoft, Apple, and Google. Her mission extended far beyond networking events. Pittsford actively pushed for better hiring opportunities, mentorship programs, and visibility for queer women in engineering. Under flashing conference lights and giant LED screens, thousands of programmers finally found a space where they could talk about algorithms and identity without hiding either part of themselves. Today, her work has helped reshape conversations around inclusion in the global tech industry. For many young lesbian coders, Pittsford became proof that community can be just as revolutionary as code. Inside the fast-moving universe of Silicon Valley, where startup founders chase billion-dollar dreams fueled by caffeine and glowing monitor light, Tracy Chu emerged as both a highly respected engineer and a relentless advocate for change. She worked at major technology companies including Google, Pinterest, and Quora, building systems that reached millions of users around the world. But Chu became especially famous for exposing the lack of diversity inside the tech industry. At a time when many companies avoided discussing gender imbalance, she pushed tech giants to release public diversity statistics. Her efforts triggered conversations across Silicon Valley that could no longer be ignored. Openly supportive of LGBTQ+ inclusion and women in STEM, Chu helped transform coding culture from within. She understood that software engineering was not just about writing efficient code. It was also about deciding who gets a seat at the keyboard. Her influence spread beyond engineering teams. Young queer women entering computer science programs began seeing her as proof that brilliance and activism could coexist in the same career. In many ways, Tracy Chu became the firewall, standing between old tech culture and a more inclusive future. Christine Love transformed indie gaming into something deeply emotional, strange, and unforgettable. As a programmer and visual novel creator from Canada, she became known for developing narrative-driven games filled with identity, relationships, psychological tension, and LGBTQ+ themes. Unlike giant corporate studios chasing blockbuster explosions and cinematic action scenes, Love focused on storytelling. Her games often felt like digital dreamscapes, glowing with neon dialogue boxes, layered emotions, and sharp social commentary. Openly lesbian and transgender, Love brought perspectives into gaming that had rarely been explored before. Her projects gained passionate fan communities because they treated queer characters as complex human beings rather than stereotypes. As both a writer and programmer, she demonstrated how coding could become a creative art form. Every branch of dialogue, every gameplay mechanic, and every visual effect emerged from lines of carefully constructed code. Christine Love helped prove that independent developers could use programming not merely to entertain audiences, but to tell deeply personal stories capable of resonating across the internet, like electric poetry floating through fiber optic cables. Before stepping into the spotlight as an actress and activist, Angelica Ross spent years immersed in the world of technology and web development. At a time when many transgender women faced enormous barriers to employment, Ross taught herself programming and digital design skills, determined to build opportunities where none existed. She eventually founded a technology company focused on web development and digital training, helping create pathways for transgender people seeking careers in tech. Her journey was especially remarkable because she entered the industry during an era when diversity conversations inside Silicon Valley were still painfully limited. Ross often described coding as a form of freedom. Behind every website, layout, and software project was the possibility of independence, creativity, and survival. While some people viewed programming as cold or mechanical, she saw it as architecture for human possibility. As an openly transgender lesbian figure connected to both entertainment and technology, Ross became a rare bridge between multiple worlds. She shattered stereotypes suggesting LGBTQ+ women could not succeed in highly technical spaces. Her story carried the energy of someone rebuilding life line by line, almost like debugging a broken system until it finally ran on its own power. Today, she remains an influential advocate for inclusion in STEM fields, especially for transgender youth who dream of entering coding and engineering careers. Kara Swisher became one of the most feared and respected voices in the technology industry, famous for interviewing billionaire tech founders with the precision of a programmer dissecting faulty code. Although primarily known as a journalist, Swisher's deep understanding of digital systems and internet culture came from decades spent immersed in the evolution of computing and online technology. Openly lesbian and unapologetically direct, she built a career analyzing companies like Apple, Meta, Google, and Amazon long before the rest of the world fully understood their influence. Swisher stood out because she refused to treat tech executives like untouchable visionaries. Instead, she approached them like systems that needed testing, questioning, and occasionally tearing apart. Her sharp commentary helped expose ethical concerns surrounding privacy, social media, and corporate power. Within LGBTQ+ communities, Swisher became an important figure because she existed openly and confidently in an industry historically dominated by straight male leadership. She represented a different kind of power in tech, not the engineer writing software in silence, but the watchdog examining the consequences of the digital world itself. Her presence in technology journalism helped shape public understanding of Silicon Valley during its transformation from startup playground into global empire. Catherine Bracey built her career around a fascinating idea: technology should strengthen democracy rather than weaken it. A civic technologist and LGBTQ+ advocate, Bracey worked on projects that explored how software, digital communication, and public participation could improve society. She became involved with organizations focused on digital innovation and public interest technology, pushing back against the growing belief that tech existed only for profit. While many startups chased advertising revenue and viral growth, Bracey focused on how programming could help communities solve real-world problems. Openly queer and deeply engaged in social advocacy, she frequently spoke about ethical responsibility within the tech industry. Her work highlighted a tension running through modern programming culture. Software can either empower people or manipulate them, depending on who builds it and why. Bracey's career unfolded during a period when technology companies increasingly shaped politics, communication, and even public trust itself. Rather than accepting that future passively, she argued that coders and engineers had a responsibility to protect democratic values. In many ways, she represented a new generation of LGBTQ+ tech leaders who viewed programming not just as engineering, but as a form of civic infrastructure. During the golden age of early computer gaming, when floppy disks ruled bedrooms and pixel graphics felt revolutionary, Danielle Bunton-Berry was already designing the future of multiplayer gaming. Long before online gaming became a trillion-dollar industry, Berry understood something most developers had missed. Games were not just about competition, they were about human connection. As a programmer and game designer, she created influential strategy games that emphasized interaction between players rather than simple combat mechanics. Her titles helped inspire generations of multiplayer game development and online social gaming systems. Berry later transitioned and became one of the earliest openly transgender figures in video game development history. At a time when LGBTQ+ visibility in tech was almost non-existent, her presence alone challenged industry norms. The gaming world of the 1980s often looked like a maze of arcade lights, tangled controller cables, and male-dominated studios. Danielle Bunton-Berry walked through that maze carrying groundbreaking ideas that would eventually influence modern online games. Today, many multiplayer experiences gamers take for granted trace their DNA back to concepts she explored decades earlier. Jess Lee's journey through the technology world feels like a perfect Silicon Valley origin story written in lines of code and startup ambition. Before becoming a major tech executive, she worked as a software engineer at Google, where she developed strong technical skills while surrounded by some of the brightest programmers in the world. She later joined the fashion and social commerce platform Polyvore, eventually becoming CEO. Unlike many executives who came from business backgrounds, Lee understood products from the inside out because she had actually built technology herself. As an openly queer woman in tech leadership, Lee represented a rare combination in Silicon Valley: elite engineering ability mixed with executive-level influence. Her success challenged stereotypes that often pushed LGBTQ+ women away from leadership positions in software companies. Under her leadership, Polyvore evolved into a creative digital playground where users blended fashion, design, and online culture into visually driven communities. The platform felt less like traditional software and more like an electronic arts studio powered by algorithms and imagination. Lee's rise showed that queer women could thrive not only as programmers, but also as visionary leaders guiding entire tech ecosystems. Erica Baker became widely known in the tech industry for speaking openly about fairness, transparency, and discrimination inside major software companies. A talented engineer who worked at Google and other large firms, Baker understood the industry from the inside, right down to the culture hidden behind office walls covered in startup slogans and neon conference room signs. One of her most influential actions involved creating an internal spreadsheet where employees could anonymously compare salaries. The project spread rapidly among workers and sparked widespread discussions about unequal pay in technology companies. As a queer black woman in engineering, Baker occupied a space where multiple barriers collided at once. Instead of remaining silent, she became one of the strongest voices advocating for accountability in Silicon Valley. Her story highlights an important truth about programming culture: the people writing software also shape workplace culture itself. Baker pushed the industry to confront uncomfortable realities while continuing to work as a respected engineer. To many younger LGBTQ+ developers, she became a symbol of courage in a field that often rewards silence more than honesty. Randa Fahmy Hudome built her reputation in the technology and policy world through intelligence, leadership, and strategic thinking. Working across digital innovation and government-related initiatives, she became part of a growing movement connecting technology with public policy. As an openly LGBTQ+ professional, Hudome advocated for greater representation of women and queer individuals in STEM careers. She understood that technology industries often celebrated innovation while quietly struggling with inclusion behind closed doors. Her work emphasized mentorship and visibility. For many young women entering software engineering or cybersecurity fields, simply seeing successful LGBTQ+ leaders mattered enormously. Representation in tech can function like a lighthouse in heavy fog, guiding people toward careers they once believed were unreachable. Hudom also participated in conversations surrounding national technology infrastructure and innovation strategy, helping bridge the worlds of engineering, business, and government. Her career demonstrated that coding culture extends far beyond startup offices. It reaches into economics, public systems, and global competition. Through leadership and advocacy, she helped push the tech industry toward a future where talent mattered more than identity. Sarah Josephine Baker became known within LGBTQ+ coding communities for her work as a technology educator and mentor. While some programmers build fame through giant corporations or viral apps, Baker focused on something quieter but equally important: teaching people how to code. She organized workshops, training programs, and educational initiatives designed to help queer youth and women enter the world of programming. For students intimidated by computer science, her classes often became safe spaces where curiosity replaced fear. Baker believed coding should not belong exclusively to elite universities or wealthy tech hubs. Instead, she viewed programming as a modern survival skill, almost like literacy in the digital age. Every lesson carried the possibility of opening doors to financial independence, creativity, and confidence. Within classrooms glowing from rows of laptop screens, Baker helped students understand that software engineering was not reserved for a specific gender, identity, or personality type. Anyone willing to learn could build something meaningful. Her work may not always generate headlines like billion-dollar startups or flashy AI launches, but her influence spreads through every student she inspires. In technology, teachers often become invisible architects of the future, shaping the next generation of developers one line of code at a time.